Good morning, Team Alabama. We are ready for a little more in Hidden Figures. Please find it in your books on page 166. This is a picture on your page on page 166 of Dorothy Vaughan on the left and the female computers at a social event in the 1960s. So there's a picture of that. Keeping in touch. Orbiting Earth presented a number of communication challenges for NASA engineers. It was one thing to have a flight take off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, and land in the Atlantic Ocean. These flights stayed within the communication range of Mission Control in Florida and the data centers in DC and Bermuda. Orbital flights, missions that sent an astronaut around the globe, were much more dangerous. The aircraft would pass out of visual and radio contact with Mission Control for extended periods of time. NASA demanded constant contact with the astronaut every minute of every orbit. The engineers at Langley had to build a worldwide communication network between Mission Control and the orbiting spacecraft. Developing the two-way communications and tracking network was almost as challenging as building the spacecraft itself. It required the creation of 18 communication stations set up around the globe so that the orbiting astronaut was never out of touch. The computers also sounded the alarm at the first sign of trouble. Any deviation from the projected flight path, evidence of malfunction on board the capsule, or abnormal vital signs from the astronaut would send Mission Control scrambling to solve the problem. Engineers at Langley struggled to make their deadlines, but they couldn't afford to make any mistakes. The projected launch date slipped from 1960 to 1961, and during this period, the Soviets struck again. On April the 12th, 1961, Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space and the first human to orbit Earth. We could have beaten them. We should have beaten them. Project Mercury's flight director, the engineer in charge of coordinating many of the aspects of the mission, said years later. NASA's engineers didn't feel defeated, and they didn't experience the panic that followed the launch of Sputnik. The Soviet success was frustrating and embarrassing, but the Langley team responded with renewed passion for their mission. NASA and its network of contractors focused their talents and kept working. They were almost ready to launch the Mercury mission. It would take a total of 1.2 million tests, simulations, investigations, inspections, verifications, experiments, checkouts, and dry runs to send the first American into space. It also took several failed rocket tests and a hair-raising suborbital flight with a chimpanzee on board. The capsule landed so far from the recovery ships that it was nearly underwater when it was finally plucked from the ocean. Ham, the astrochimp, survived the flight. His name is an acronym for the lab that prepped him for his mission, the Holloman Aerospace Medical Center. In a courageous move, NASA decided to broadcast the launch of Mercury Redstone 3 live on television. This would be the third time the Redstone rocket would be used to boost the Mercury capsule into flight over the Atlantic Ocean. At least 45 million Americans tuned in to watch the success or failure of the first United States manned space mission. Astronaut Alan Shepard, strapped into the capsule, just 6 feet in diameter and less than 7 feet high, the launch was successful, and the spacecraft soared to an altitude of 116.5 miles above the Earth. Think about that. Would you have the bravery to be the first person that they strapped into that little thing and sent up into space? The suborbital flight of the capsule Shepard named Freedom 7 lasted only 15 minutes and 22 seconds and covered 303 miles. Freedom 7 was a pale technological achievement compared to the